Warcraft's greatest wizard will return. That was a tongue twister a little bit. Medivh. Now, this is interesting. I haven't heard much about Medivh. I mean, we've had our whole return to Karazhan when that all happened, but what could Medivh be doing going forward here? I mean, aren't we done with the Legion? Could Sargeras be coming back? With Illidan? Let's see. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what Bellular has to say.
It's time. The most mysterious man in WoW. One of the most tragic is due his fated return. On a recent run through Legion's Karazhan to get some tasty screenshots, we discovered something that, with new context provided by Dragonflight's story, means a lot more than it meant back then. And as much as I'm starting by talking about some in-game things and how we came to our conclusion, it's worth knowing there's a literal smoking gun. Like actual game assets that are backing this up. So, trust me, this one is going to be quite the ride. As is our sponsor. HelloFresh.com, where code 50Bellular gets you 50% off plus free shipping. And you can get your autumn off to an awesome start by just solving dinner. HelloFresh handles all the meal planning and the shopping to deliver everything you need to cook up a tasty meal that's nutritious and healthy right at home. They do that hard part, right? And if time is even more short on the day, you can choose their quick and easy or 15-minute meal options. I use these a lot, and they are far faster than takeout or delivery. And here in the city that I live in, Belfast, so much cheaper. I had these tacos recently. They're absolutely delicious. They tasted super, super fresh. Each week, you get 40 recipes and 100 add-on items to choose from, which is a hell of a lot of dishes to try. And with them also now doing lunches and breakfasts, I mean, that's just so much of your week's planning and shopping just handled. I mean, come on, we play MMORPGs, right? We like to quest stack and do things efficiently. Plus, learning to cook because they make it so approachable. Your house not being just full of random ingredients because they ship you what you actually need. It's so much more simple. So go to HelloFresh.com. That's where code 50Bellular will get you 50% off plus free shipping. It's an amazing deal for something that's an amazing quality of life improvement. Legion was full of chests. The game was a loot pinata back then, with every purple outline being a chance at some more artifact power. So, this Legion cache found in Karazhan was nothing out of the ordinary, until we read the flavor text on the item that dropped. The time-corroded breastplate, an unremarkable grey item sent our lore wheels spinning. It's actually a painting of a battle between
adorned this armor is the remains of a once vivid painting of a battle between tusked humanoids and giants, faceless creatures. And giant faceless tusked humanoids. They talk about the Tuskar fighting against the faceless ones who are the, part of the old gods?
Tusked humanoids and giant faceless creatures.
What the
trolls fighting faceless ones.
Oh, trolls.
And of course, at the time, we understood that this referred to the Akir and Troll War, which happened long after Azeroth was ordered, about 16,000 years before the Dark Portal opened.
It's like Tuskar
but since then, we've had some new information. We've had a lot of reason to believe that pre-Titan Azeroth was a much different, or at least more interesting place than just a bunch of raging elements and old gods. For a start, Eyes of the Earth Mother tells us about Musha, or Elune, and Anshe, who led the Tauren in defense against the early Black Empire. If Tauren existed back then, but Chronicle says nothing about them, which is literally true, it's not a stretch to imagine that trolls may have been pre-Titan as well. And then we get this. This breastplate shows them fighting faceless creatures.
Right.
There's only one type of creature we call a faceless one, right?
Yeah.
And it's these, the Naraki.
Right away I knew it was
who
an
were
old god
basically
reference.
all sealed underground by Titan forces. The Akir, which is an old god-aligned insect race that the trolls fought, are an entirely different race. The Naraki were almost entirely dormant between the fall of the Black Empire and the reawakening in Warcraft 3, when the Nerubians dug to escape Arthas.
Yeah, exactly.
This breastplate then could be seen as a major hint that Azeroth had native trolls and that they mounted the resistance against the Black Empire alongside the Sun and Moon, Anshe and Musha, and the early Tauren. And that's just one item. And I'd also bring in a little
there's
bit of
more?
outside of the lore context. It hasn't come to pass in Dragonflight right now, but I believe in interviews Blizzard had talked about primal trolls being a thing that we would see.
Primal troll. It's interesting considering the fact that we know, we basically know right now that the primal incarnate, oh god, what's her name? The freaking ice chick. Anyway, she's going to be a primalist. She's likely going to become one of the dragon aspects, right? Because they're all getting their powers back, and we've kind of seen that she might get some powers too, and she has to do with like primal forces, so she might be getting, you know, some of the elemental shit in that to help us, because now she's going to be on our side. There's also been hints at the next expansion being elemental in flavor. There was recently a data mined mount that we were just reviewing not too long ago that talked about some storm. Something was its name, Stormride or something, and that people are thinking it's going to be part of the heroic package when you buy the next expansion. And we saw that there's an elemental frost guy as the BlizzCon mount. So a lot of elemental stuff going on here. We're going to get some kind of, you know, elemental expansion. I don't know.
We haven't seen that, but it will align with what I'm talking about today. Anyway, that was one item, so we did a bit more searching, and it turns out this Legion cache contains a whole lot of items just full of flavor text that's worth paying attention to. All of them are referencing the earliest days of Azeroth, like, say, the crumbling ceremonial vestments. These are robes with markings that match Elune, but also some Loa. So, very early Night Elf stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Then in a similar vein, these brittle chitinous shoulder pads.
Well, remember, the Night Elves came from the Trolls, so there could have been a time when Elune and the Loa were, like, both very relevant to them. The Night Elves are essentially just evolved Trolls.
Early Night Elf
so
stuff.
That's interesting.
Then in a similar vein, these brittle chitinous shoulder pads, they're ancient by Asharan standards and are etched with Loa sigils, which makes it seem like pre-elf trolls.
Yeah, yeah.
Now this sparked a whole new line of thought.
Azarin is, you know, more Night Elves, but they were also Trolls at one point.
Because these items were in Karazhan. What the hell was Medivh researching?
What the hell
What did he know about the time before the Sundering and even the time before the Titans? So what does it mean? And that's where I'll be fully transparent here. My first thought was, oh my god, Medivh has been researching all of this. He's part of our time travel antics. But then we realized something crucial. These were not found just in the Legion cache, but actually were across a bunch of drops and treasures throughout Legion. So the thing was our dream dead? And it turned out, no, not even close, because all the world building still applies. And that was only one part of what we realized in our visit to the Wizard's Tower. Everything truly is coming together, and Karazhan fits as a final missing piece.
We're gonna go back to Kara again.
The Black Empire, the Old Gods, and what the Titans really did on Azeroth. These are connected to our current mysterious, villainous duo, Iridikron and Xal'atath.
Yes.
In the same breath, we have to mention Elune, the, quote, upstart goddess, that's what Xal'atath called her, that was fighting on the ground with her brother, the Sun.
She's taking shots.
Anshe and Musha fighting against these forces of darkness with the Tauren, as we are told in Eyes of the Earth Mother, right? The Tauren mythology. Then there's Ashara, of course. Ashara is off exploring the Void right now. The Void, which we used to think was just tentacles all the time, is intentionally looking more astronomical in nature. Stars, planets, space. Phrased another way, the current story beats of WoW are this. Space aliens want our planet for their own, and we've been told a bunch of lies about what they actually did when they arrived. We have the one group of space aliens making deals with the angry man who wants to help the space aliens win, and the particular space alien he's dealing with calls the moon an upstart goddess. There's an elf corrupted by the space alien who is currently in space finding powerful space magic. And there are the space bandage people, a space elf who we all sort of forgot about, and we just killed a dragon who was using space magic. You get the point.
That's true.
Space. Now, here's the Karazhan connection. Karazhan is literally described as a conduit to other worlds. Indeed, initially, it had this link to something called the Chronal Spire on Draenor and Warlords of Draenor, but that plot line was dropped. Still, it just shows the amounts of craziness going on with Karazhan. Now, in the Burning Crusade, when we went to another planet, We came back to Azeroth because Legion agents had found Karazhan, a beacon shining in the Twisting Nether, and they wanted to seize it to start an invasion. Yes, that's why we go to Karazhan.
An invasion
in
through
TBC.
Karazhan? I had no idea that was why we went there. I got to pay attention.
Then in Legion, we had another return to Karazhan when another Legion agent arrived and wanted to basically connect Karazhan to every Legion world at once. That was the first time that we had ever in WoW seen the real present-day character Medivh, which is insane. When his work was done at the end of Warcraft 3, he vanished, believing that was it. But he returned when he was needed. You see, the Dark Portal connects to Draenor, but Karazhan, it connects to so much more. Character-wise, it would have made sense for Medivh to help us mount the ultimate assault on the Legion world using Karazhan, right? That would have made so much sense.
I guess it acts like a door. If they can come through it one way, we can go through it the other way and fight the Legion directly. So I mean, I guess Medivh saw it as a way in to fight them.
It's in the Legion expansion, but instead that fell to Illidan, using, of course, the Sargarite Keystone, and then the Draenei taking us there on the Vindicar, a much more climactic ending to the Legion storyline. Medivh was entirely left out of that. In fact,
he was like, guys, I got a door right here. Well, we boarded a crystal ship and went that way instead.
It wasn't that he was left out. The character of Medivh said that he couldn't afford to help fight the Legion because he was, quote, needed elsewhere. What does he know that we don't? That was in Legion, and at that time, we had no real idea what else lay on the horizon, except for, of course, a future Void Lord threat. That's all we thought back then.
Right.
On top of that, he had already passed on his role because at the end of Karazhan in Legion, he metaphorically passed the Guardian title on to Khadgar, but not its power. He kept that burden for himself. No longer the Guardian of Azeroth, he has so much more to protect with that power. So, the last time we saw Medivh, he took off into the Twisting Nether, the space between space, never to be seen again. So, the most powerful wizard of all time is currently unaccounted for. Khadgar then, before he came to help in the Dragon Isles, spent the entirety of the last 2 expansions in Karazhan finding, he said, a way to heal Azeroth.
There's no way he's just been reading this whole time. I would search for a lot of tissue paper and lotion in this room because I think Khadgar's just been fucking around this whole time. We're doing all the work, and I've been wondering where the hell he's been this whole time. He's just been sitting in Karazhan.
Except for a very quick jaunt into the Shadowlands to have a chat with
that's
Jaina,
right. I remember this
we
when he
said
talked
this,
to Jaina.
Quote, for years I've read about this place in
shit.
Medivh's books. I stood atop Karazhan and caught glimpses through the veil. And yes, that is something we didn't talk about enough. Karazhan is so powerful that not only can he peek into other, places in space, seemingly even in time, if the whole Chronal Spire thing was meant to go anywhere in Warlords of Draenor, but also into complete other realms, such as the Shadowlands. But our focus today is Old God, Space, and Medivh. So in Battle for Azeroth, Rathian went to Karazhan, right? He went there to find a way to stop Old God corruption, and Rathian's findings helped him save Ebonhorn, now we call him Abyssian in his dragon name, and of course to make our N'Zoth-resistant cloak. Now, Medivh had been sitting, as it turned out, on some crazy knowledge for all of this time, knowledge that Rathian was able to use. And the last thing that we noticed when we were going back through this tower recently was this room. Now, you've likely never been in this room because you didn't need to come up the stairs in the dungeon unless you were doing the Mage Mount quest.
This is in the dungeon?
What are all those planets?
Oh, what the hell?
We have absolutely no idea, except one of them is obviously Azeroth.
Right.
Everyone seems to know about these other planets except for us. Khadgar went there. He spent a few years there. Of course he knows. The next question then. What the hell is Medivh doing? He knows about all these planets. He has all of this knowledge that's so deep and so powerful. He's pretty much the most powerful, mage alive.
Planet craft.
I don't know how him and Ashara would fight, but still, he's pretty much that. So our next question, what is he doing? A lot, I think. Back in Legion, Star Augur Atreus spoke of planets that fell.
Yeah,
in
this fight was
Shadowlands,
cool.
we learned that Elune, our moon, has actually created night warriors on other planets, which of course matches the story of
shit.
Eyes of the Earth Mother, which had Azeroth's
What if in order to do a revamp of Azeroth, we're going to leave Azeroth and go to a completely another planet and then come back and see a completely revamped Azeroth? Maybe. Maybe that's how they do it. I don't know. Or we leave and then the Scourge ravages the planet while we're gone or something. That's what I thought was going to happen in Shadowlands. Because you remember there was supposed to be like a time lapse when we went there. I thought we were going to come back and see like the Scourge has ravaged the land. But no, instead we held the dick of a dragon and went off to the Dragon Isles, which was unexpected, honestly. But the whole thing about a world revamp, I've often thought that maybe they're going to take us somewhere else for a little while and then we come back and it's revamped. So this is an interesting way to do it, maybe.
send Musha and Anshe together off into space to
The What
hunt
If
down the
series,
Void threat
yes.
themselves. And again, I'm going to, of course, bring up
I love that
Anne
speculation.
Shul, the Cosmic Wanderer. This was mentioned in flavor text in, was it the Trinket that recently dropped from Sarkarath? It's just an item, right? But it references this Anne Shul, the Cosmic Wandering.
I've yet to get this fucking item.
What is that?
It's best in slot.
It
I can't
does
even
sound
get it.
like a corrupted Anshe, given that it hurls void magic at people. Who exactly knows?
wouldn't
Surely
know. I can't
Medivh
loot the
would
item.
know. I mean, who is this Cosmic Wanderer? Or have we met them before? Has Medivh met them before? Put simply anyway, Medivh is the eminent expert on the two biggest plot threads in WoW's next expansion, history and space. He is, right now, a guy absolutely loaded into the gun that is lying in the drawer of Steve Denuser at work, ready to be fired the next time
he's definitely
we
gonna
need
come
a
back at
cool-ass
some
character to shepherd us into the next big thing and give us some excellently delivered exposition as we go.
You don't
and I think
shelve
that
the most
time is
powerful
sooner
wizard
rather
in
than
the world
later
to do
because
nothing.
Khadgar foreshadowed his own death in Shadowlands.
Yeah, this is what
He
I was talking
spoke
about.
to Jaina about
He talked about how he's getting old and shit. And I remember reading this, I was like, but he's not that old. But I guess either in the lore, he like aged extra fast at some point because of some magic or something.
how he wanted to see the place on his own terms first because he feels the weight of his years. Of course, I hate to think about it, but maybe Khadgar's final moments are on the horizon. And perhaps before he goes, we're going to need the two greatest wizards of all time to team up for one final adventure.
Oh yeah, it'd be cool.
And also, let's not forget the other
down for
smoking
that.
gun. Blizzard recently reminded us of Medivh directly. We've been saying for months now that Blizzard are pulling assets from the next expansion to put them into the store and the trading post. They have done stuff like
Yes,
this
I've
for
been speculating a lot on all this stuff.
years since Warlords of Draenor. We had the Koi mount, we had the recent store transmogs that are clearly from some future content, and they've done it. Countless examples in the past.
Yep, the
so why
Dragon
then
package.
did they put the Guardian pack on the store?
That's
Why did they
right.
model Medivh armor and sell
Oh
it to
my
players?
god, that's right. I forgot about this.
Why is it in the trading post? Later this year, quote, possibly, later this year. Did you know that that also includes after the 11.0
Maybe.
expansion announcement? Maybe it's nothing. Or maybe it's Blizzard doing their
big
old
change.
wink, wink, nudge, nudge, like they do every single time. It's food for thought.
This is
But if
interesting.
Medivh is to return, what does that future look like?
A space wizard.
One of the greatest tropes in fantasy is the wise old wizard man, the Gandalf, the sage. It runs so deep as an archetype that even Jungian psychology is connects it to the collective unconsciousness.
so big his whole face is
which
gone.
I think speaks that it's a good story that people like to latch on to. Obviously, Gandalf's your big example. Ben Kenobi in the original Star Wars. Medivh was Warcraft's version of that character, but like all of Warcraft's ideas, beneath his shape-shifting wizard prophet exterior lay a crippling guilt and encroaching darkness. He led a brutally tortured life. He died at the hands of his closest friends after he could no longer hold back the evil Sargeras had implanted in him before his birth. But like any truly great wizard, he became stronger in death. His death, his end, it freed him from Sargeras' corruption, and
Right.
as soon as he could, he
Medivh the
set about
White.
righting all of the wrongs. He took on the mysterious mantle of the prophet, flying around in Atisha's raven form, delivering wisdom bombs and cryptic warnings to people. He set to bring, of course, Thrall's young horde and the humans and the Night Elves all together to stop Archimonde and to push the Legion back until, well, the Legion expansion. Since that day in Karazhan when Medivh severed the tower's connections to the Legion worlds and went off himself in search of answers, WoW has been flooded with references to Void, which clearly as time has went on has become more about space itself.
Oh,
if
yeah,
we have
Void
questions,
and Titans.
our epic cryptic sage could have the answers. Imagine this. Khadgar kicks down the door while we're sleeping. Champion, we have a
Fucking
job to
Khadgar.
do. He teleports us to the Deadwind Past, where we meet a delegation
Busting
from the
in.
Alliance and the Horde, Turalian, Ilaria, Arator perhaps, maybe Anduin's back, Bane's probably there, maybe Lillian, maybe Thrall's out of retirement again, Tyrande shows up, saying Mother Moon called her here. Right, the
this
loudest,
is
most
interesting,
desperate she's ever sounded, and the sky over Karazhan is darkening. There are void elementals everywhere, flying through the tower, all this crazy stuff in the opening scenario, and at its peak we find Medivh locked in a spell, holding something back. Khadgar and Illyria help him, pushing a giant hand, maybe a tendril, back through a crack in the sky. Medivh then gets to have an amazing speech about how the void has pierced the veil and we've got to go
shit.
and deal with it. We then go flick a bunch of magical switches throughout Karazhan, turning it back on.
Imagine they made Karazhan like a hub city, too. That'd be kind of cool. Like, Karazhan's like the portal to the other dimension where we spend most of our time in the expansion, and the Karazhan acts as a hub city. I'd love
While
Karazhan as a
Medivh
hub
tells
city.
us what's happening as we turn Karazhan into our interplanetary gateway hub. Maybe we go to the Void Planet, maybe multiple, or maybe Karazhan is just where we mount our defense against the Void invasion. But either way, since that day that Medivh left, he has been the one we've needed back to deal with it all.
but all the hints
He
are
is
like
the
Scourge
loaded
and
gun,
Elemental related.
And now the Dragonflight has brought
This
the
would be
Void
like
to
a
the
180.
forefront again with its new stellar form. He and all of his cosmic wisdom look primed to go off any second. The last time we saw him, he said he was needed elsewhere. I think soon he's going to be needed back on Azeroth again.
Maybe.
I love this video. I think this is one of the best in a long time. I absolutely adore it. I think this could be absolutely
He's getting so
fantastic.
excited.
This could be such a good way to tie all of these things together, and it would match with so much of what Blizzard have been setting up. What I want to know is, what do you think? Let
Yeah.
me know down below. Man, Medivh, one of the coolest characters, especially if, you started the franchise playing Warcraft 3 like I did. I mean, this is big shit. So, let me know what you think. Have a brilliant day. Check out the other lore videos on the channel if you want more of this goodness. I'll see you next time.
Interesting. Medivh coming back. Maybe passing on the somebody said passing on the mantle to Jaina. Now I'm like trying to relate all the new stuff that's been coming out to what's coming here. We did see that the most recent mount too for the next expansion is going to be, some kind of like frost elemental giant. That could be Jaina related. Maybe Jaina becomes the new guardian. I don't know. A Khadgar Medivh team up does sound pretty cool. I don't know if I'm ready to go back to space and get all into like this interstellar weird shit. I think Shadowlands was still a bit weird for me, and I want to stay on Azeroth. But we'll see. We'll see where the next expansion takes us. This is pretty cool. Some neat hints here. Good video.